live for 1 hour today?
Yes. YouTube, what's up, guys? We're live. Pull up the grand feed. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Just this here. Welcome, guys. I'm Johnathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. And my beautiful partner, Mariah, is with me today. It's been a little while since Mariah joined me. So we're going to talk about some things and then answer some questions, the usual. So, all right. Welcome, guys. So people have been asking how we met and things like that. So I want to tell a little bit about like our story together. Some of you may have heard this already, but we're going to share some cool things about, working with sexual energy and manifesting with it. So we met almost 5 years ago, right? We actually met through a dating app called Bumble, which it was the first time I'd ever used a dating app. The only person I ever met up with was her. And
You got very lucky.
I got lucky. But obviously, it was one of those things where I was putting a lot of intention to like the type of person I wanted to be with and things like that. So it was very synchronistic with that. And we, immediately connected very well, I would say. And I kind of introduced you to a lot of the practices that I do, the sexual kung fu, qigong, internal energy practices, kind of this whole new world of energetic work. And likewise, you introduced me to like business and marketing and how to like not be a slave to the system, basically, right? And
what kinds of things were you doing before we met to like manifest a partner or whatever?
Well,
if anything,
the manifestation practices I share, where you basically just get yourself into a space and feel that you've already accomplished, that which you want to have. You put yourself in that emotional state. And also, I think doing energy cultivation practices on top of that, working my sexual energy and everything gives that a big boost, as well as a qigong form I practice called Primordial Qigong, which I'll be making like a workshop or something. I'll be sharing this practice, right? It's phenomenal practice, kind of a Shandong spiritual practice, which has been amazing for manifestation for me. And
that actually reminds me of how you use that. Do you remember?
Yeah, that was a tool I was using to manifest. And after I remember, I was doing this form, and I'm like, all right, I want to be with her, and I would put that in my manifestation, and it worked out. But what was about 4 months or so after we were together, you left to Australia, and so she was in Australia for 4 months or something like that. And I think a lot of people in that situation would be like, well, okay, I'm going to find someone new. But we both kind of felt that it was something worth maintaining. And it really drove me to, because at the time I was really broke. I had no money. I was like, teaching guitar lessons to kids at an academy and things. I was making some money, but I didn't have very much money. And that's what really drove me to be like, okay, I've got to get this financial situation under control. And that's what led, you turned me on to a lot of business resources and information. And that's what I really got set on. Like, I need to be independent financially. I need to get my shit together. And that's when I started. That's actually when I started Sexual Kung Fu, but I was also doing some freelance music work. And I once I had that like drive, like I need to do this. I need to create income for myself, doing something I enjoy actually, right? It happened very quickly within a few months. And you came back and we moved in together, and it's been a lot of amazing things ever since. We've been through our trials and tribulations, but we've also had a lot of amazing growth and experiences together. And yeah, I don't know, there's a lot more I could say, but is there anything you want to say?
Yeah. I think just for me, about a year before we met, I had done, I think I wasn't super obsessed or anything, just thinking about the different questions that I always see people have. I wasn't really super obsessed with like, I need to find a partner right now. It was just kind of like, oh, it'd be kind of nice to share my life with somebody. And when I started taking that thought more seriously, I started writing out, I think I got it from a Tony Robbins YouTube video or something, but writing down all of the traits and characteristics and personality things and just things that I wanted to have in my partner. And then looking at myself and seeing like, okay, where am I actually matching that energy? Where am I actually showing up to be able to receive that kind of person? And where am I cock blocking myself from receiving that kind of person? And so I think I kind of focused on that list for about a year and then eventually forgot that I had written it and did another one about, I think, like a month or two before we met. And I had been on a lot of really weird Bumble dates and everything. I used a lot when I was traveling to just find good places to eat and things to do. And so, yeah, eventually I was like, okay, I'll take this seriously where I live and try it out. And actually, the day before we met, I had deleted all the apps because I had gone on enough weird dates that I was like, okay, I'm done. I give up. I'll just meet someone in real life, like normal. And then I went back because I was talking to a few people. So I was like, I'll get their numbers. And then that's when we connected. And I think we met up the next day and yeah, pretty much been together ever since then. And it was just really cool. Then afterwards, I think like right before I left for Australia, when I was cleaning out where I was living, I found that list again. And I just remembered kind of laughing, being like, wow, you're literally everything that I had on the list and way more things that I didn't know I needed. That's pretty cool.
I had done something similar where it was like, these are the qualities I want in a person. That's an important thing because most people just kind of like, how should I put this? I think there's a tendency with some men to be like, okay, this girl's physically attractive, that's enough. I'm gonna like, and then they kind of get infatuated, and then it turns out that they're very incompatible. There's a lot of weird clashes, and so being very clear of like, what are all the aspects of this person that would be a good match for me, not just out of desperation. I think that's a good point too, is that when we first got together, I wasn't in a space of like, oh, I really need to be with someone. I had been in that space before and it never led me to anything good. And so it was more just like, okay, like I feel like I'm in a really good place in my life and I would like to share this with someone, but not out of desperation. I'm like, I don't care if things don't work out, whatever. I'm just like, it was more of an exploration, I would say. And that was a nice kind of space of openness and not any sort of expectation or anything like that to kind of put a damper on things.
Yeah. And I think that was really important for both of us in the beginning stages, was just coming to it with like a fresh, open curiosity kind of thing versus like, I think for me in the past, I was always like, okay, what are we? Like, let's define this. Let's put a box around it. Let's explain it and make it something we can present to other people and help both of us understand it. And with us, it was just kind of like, well, I enjoyed hanging out with you today. Hopefully I'll hang out with you again, and just kind of kept doing that. And yeah.
Yeah, once you left to Australia, we were pretty, open about our feelings for each other and that we wanted to make things serious and keep it that way. And worked out. But something else I want to share, it's like I learned a lot from you and just our relationship together, and of course a lot of things you've taught me, and obviously you also got introduced to
all this,
the unseen world of energy cultivation and sexual expansion, all these things. And so it's just like it's been this kind of like alchemy between us where we both kind of feel each other. We're twin flames, right? But just this feeding of each other's fires. And I think especially we traveled the world together. I spent my first time overseas, with you, and it just opened so many things up for me. And I think a big part of that was, again, this cultivation practice I had, first of all, within myself, managing my own energy, cultivating my energy, refining that. And then, of course, we join our energy together and create this like third crazy atomic firepower force that we've just been able to manifest. Amazing, like everything that's happening in my life right now, like it was not to like brag or something, but just like it's beyond what the things I brought into my life as far as like income, the lifestyle I'm living. I didn't think it was possible, even like 5 years ago. And I'm sharing this because anyone can do this, right? And I think it starts with yourself. You have your practice, you're managing yourself. You're not, living your life in reactive mode saying, oh, this is, other people's fault. I'm in this situation. You're very clear about what you want, and you have some sort of, you don't have to have an exact plan, but you're working towards what it is you want. And then sexual energy, I would say, is a big component of that. And when you come together with someone else in a relationship like that, you can both join forces and focus that powerful energy that you're both generating individually. And then when you come together, it's 10 times that energy, and you focus that into specific things. It's incredible what you can manifest.
Yeah. And I'll make another note to that. Something that I thought was really cool when we got together and started talking about more of the business stuff and everything was that, able to do well for myself on my own as far as business and everything and being able to travel. And then I just remember being so impressed when you started getting to work on all of your stuff, because since you already had such a deep foundation in all of the mental and emotional and spiritual kind of craziness that like new entrepreneurs usually go through, you got to pretty much just like, I don't even know, sprint through that really fast and like get to a place where everything just exploded really quickly. And with most of the people that I'd worked with before that, it was like, all right, this is going to be a process. It's going to take a while. There's going to be a lot of shit that comes up to like stir things up. And yeah, it was just really cool actually experiencing how that sexual energy and spirituality combined just amplified it, exactly like you said, just made everything so much bigger really quickly. And we definitely couldn't have like planned for it logically or anything.
Atomic firepower, baby. So yeah, to wrap things up, guys, as far, well, we're going to go into answer questions, but just basically, you know, have a practice, be developing yourself, be up-leveling all aspects of yourself, you know, have fun, enjoy your life, and don't take things too seriously, but also, you know,
be intentional,
be disciplined and diligent in the things that you are accomplishing, and, you know, anything's possible. And don't settle for, you know, anything less than is what truly nourishes you and supports you. All right, what do we got? What do we got for questions? Start on the gram.
Lots of people joining.
Corey Ald says, do you guys ever do witchy sex magic rituals for immortality? We haven't. I mean,
I wouldn't say our focus has been immortality. Personally, maybe yours has.
I'm like, give me all the juice, baby. I'm gonna be one of those Chinese emperors. No, we won't go into that. Anyways. I wouldn't really call it sex. I mean, sex magic. I guess it's a very broad term. What it brings to mind, I think, for me and most people is like kind of like the magic formal rituals. You're like burning candles. You're like praying to deities. You're like have herbs. You're like, okay, we bring this energy for this god to give us this. I don't really do anything like that, but we definitely will often put our joined energy into something specific, maybe. As far as immortality, I mean, one of the big focal points for me is to draw the energy into the organs, the glands of the body, instead of ejaculating it out, which really has powerful implications on your health and your physical functioning. And women can do that as well. You do that with me too sometimes. So yeah, I guess that kind of answers that question, hopefully.
I'm pretty sure you have some videos about that, if I'm not mistaken. Some YouTube videos where you talk more about it.
Yeah. Samuel Aun, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Samuel Aun Weir. I think he's a Gnostic guy. Someone asked me about this guy last week. I've read some of his stuff. It's interesting. Some of it is, you know, some of it's good. Some of it I don't vibe with. There's a lot of people, you know, talking about sexual practices. Hey, Michael.
Awesome new logo, by the way.
Yeah. Looks great.
Really cool.
Corey says, is creating a sexual energy vortex how you guys manifest such nice hair? Yes, we will.
Must be.
Bring it into the hair. I think we just both eat healthy and live healthy. And
yeah, I actually noticed a really big difference. My hair was stuck
don't
lengthwise.
Don't put chemicals in your hair, garbage shampoos and stuff. You know.
Same within your mouth.
Yeah, anywhere in your body.
Yeah, my hair was always stuck at about this length for like a long time. I want to say like 6 or 7 years. And then when I started eating healthier, my hair grew really fast in like a year. And then I chopped it all off again. But it's growing really fast. Because I had cut it like a year ago up here.
Lucius, what's up, brother? Says, one of my lifelong friends turned out to be lying to me for a long time. She helped to get job twice to person who I didn't like and kept working with that person for 2 years plus hiding it for me. I knew my friend wasn't entirely healthy and I knew her so long. I think I turned a blind eye to some manifestations of it. Do you believe that bad friends scare out the good ones energetically?
I don't believe that. Personally, I think it's whatever you want. And from my own experience, I've had lots of different friendships that have gone separate directions, but that didn't affect like my other friendships. And if it did, then
Yeah.
those people usually weren't really that great anyway. If their kind of the situation sounds like, oh well, he said she said this, so then we don't like that person anymore because of this thing that we hear that they did, like just high school drama
Yeah, don't worry about it.
type of stuff.
Sean says, can you manifest a specific person into your life that you feel will be an amazing partner? I mean, overall, yeah, but it's there's a lot of levels to, you know, bringing a partner into your life. It's not necessarily you can just be like, okay, I want a partner. I mean, sometimes it works like that. Sometimes as soon as you have the intention, you meet someone, right? But I think there's a lot of levels to it, you know. Don't put too much energy and like need into this. We were kind of talking about before. It's like, I think when you're not in a space of like neediness and like, I really need someone, I'm really lonely. When you're not in that space, you're more likely, I think, to attract the ideal partner. So just, you know, keep cultivating yourself, enjoy your life, have fun. And when it's, you know, put your kind of manifestation practice into, okay, this person, this ideal person, all these qualities, whenever the right time is, and just kind of let go.
Yeah.
I would say.
And I would say, along with all of that, just maybe keep in mind that, you know, sometimes things can happen even better than you imagine. So if you have an idea of this person, this specific person would be such an amazing partner and I want to manifest them, that's limiting all of the other possibilities that, you know, could be brought to you if you were open enough to receive those. Because, yeah, I think, what was it, like 6 months or something before we met, you had super long hair and we're like way more hippie.
Yeah, that's true.
And we just
Wait, was
always.
it? No, it was like a year. It was a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
it wasn't
was a
that
year.
long before though.
Yeah,
A year.
It was about a year.
But I just remember
Came back
after
from
we
Hawaii.
had gotten together, we had said, or I had said, just that like I totally would not have picked you if I met you even just a year before.
Yeah.
Like we had both just changed so much in
That's
that
true.
time. And now I'm like, I can't imagine if I would have ever said like no to you or anything like that. And so just staying open, like not getting so hyper focused on one person that you block out other potential
For sure.
really great people that could be even better than that person in ways that you don't know yet.
Interpret Singh says, do you think that retaining semen increases cognition and memory? Overall, definitely, I would say for men, you know, when you're over expending your energy, when you're ejaculating too much, it really inhibits your mental clarity. You get brain fog, you know, from the excessive loss of life force, nutrients, minerals, and things. That's one of the biggest things I noticed when I stopped ejaculating every day. I had so much, my focus increased tremendously. My memory, so in some aspects of my memory, like I'm terrible at remembering like words and like I don't know, but other parts of my other aspects of my memory are like super solid. So, but yeah, overall, it definitely increases your brain power, I would say. Adoniel from Venezuela, welcome, brother. Oops. Thomas Anonymous says, hey, Jonathan, I wonder what you think about the sacred secretion. Are you familiar? I think it's a very interesting concept that overlaps with a lot of what you're teaching. I think you're talking about like the fluid. I forget what it's called. It's like the golden nectar or something that forms, kind of an alchemical process that happens when, you know, so there's different fluids. Like when you open up the orbit, when you really have some juice going through orbit, you'll get more saliva in your mouth. It's kind of sweet tasting, but there's supposed to be a specific kind of elixir that forms when the crystal palace opens up, the upper dantian, and it's like thick and honey-like, whatever. I've experienced certain levels of this. Yeah. Okay, so Sean says, there's a girl I would love to manifest who seems to be on the same life path in a sense. We both be amazingly well and suited for each other to help each other grow and inspire one another. I
think it's the same question for me.
Yeah, actually, basically same. And then, okay, is 30 days long enough to charge your aura and have people around you be able to subconsciously pick up on it? Or they ask themselves, I don't know what it is about this guy, but he seems different. Yeah, I mean, in general, if a man retains semen for 30 days, he's going to be pretty charged up. But I wouldn't put on a specific timeline. Like, again, don't be too obsessed about stuff. Like, don't worry about it. If you're doing it because you want people to be like pleased, and like be attracted to you, it's coming from your ego, and that's not really like where you want to be coming from in your practice, right? Do it because you feel healthy, you feel more vibrant, you have more energy, you're more healthy, right? And maybe if people like you more, find you more attractive, it's kind of a bonus, but that shouldn't be something that you get really obsessed about. It can kind of hinder you in the long run, make you in a weird kind of Darth Vader path. Sorry, I just slammed into you. Tozuite says, I don't have a lot of individual self-practice and she doesn't too. How do we start, like step by step? I think you're talking about like sexual energy practices. I'm not sure what the context is there, but basically you each have your own practice. You start to connect your mind with your body, start meditating, start doing breath work, whatever, getting more in your body. And in the sexual sense, work with your own sexual energy. You can both do that on your own, and then you come together. There's practices, sexual kung fu practices.
Yeah, I'd say start with just something that actually intrigues each of you. Like, it doesn't have to be something that intrigues you both together, but give yourselves time and say like, okay, on this certain day of the week, if you live together, say on this certain day of the week, we're both going to take an hour to have our own practice and just like intentionally create the space for that to happen and pick something that you actually want to do. Because if you're like wanting to start a practice, but say, I'm just going to throw out an example, say you hate meditation and you just said you should do meditation and do this and this. If you're telling yourself, okay, in order to start my practice, I have to go meditate, you're going to avoid it and you're probably going to not do it. So yeah, just pick something that you're going to enjoy doing for both of you. And we both have a free guide. There's a women's one and a men's one. So you guys can both do that and start there.
Got a whole playlist, several playlists of practices on my YouTube channel. Qigong, meditation, breathwork, all the goods. And the Nader says, would you recommend settling with one person or to stay free? I mean, it depends what you want in your life. Like what supports you personally? Like,
and what freedom means to you.
Yeah. What does it mean to stay free? Are you free in that you're, connecting with a lot of different people, but is there like a block of the intimacy there? Like maybe you're not actually connecting with them deeply, right? Sometimes this is a withdrawal because you're afraid to really be intimate with someone and actually like go to deep places with them, right? But again, there's really no right or wrong answer here. Everyone's different. It's what supports you in your process.
Yeah, because like being in a relationship can create a lot of freedom for people who maybe desire stability and safety and trust. Yeah. And being single or having multiple partners or whatever the situation is could be free to other people who desire something else. And yeah, it's just different choices. It's not that one's bad or good, right or wrong.
Austin James says, much love to the two of you. Recently met Will Blunderfield out here in Vancouver, and he's had you on his podcast a couple times. Thank you for your service. Yeah, Will's a good guy. Forbidden Audiobook says, any advice for recovering from excessive ejaculation? Well, stop ejaculating excessively. Find better hobbies than just, ejaculating all over the place. Eat healthy. Start exercising. You can take some Chinese herbs to help boost your gene, like a Shobu formula. Do some Qigong. Do some breath work. Basically start, charging yourself back up and stop ejaculating so much.
And check out the multiple videos you probably have on that.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of videos on, I've got ejaculation recovery videos, all kinds of things. Stephen Watts says, can you accelerate the time it takes to receive the benefits of semen retention, for example, confidence and magnetism, by spending more time on these internal practices? Yeah, so again, semen retention is just one aspect of the sexual kung fu lifestyle, we could say, managing your semen, not ejaculating every day. But it's not going to be a fix-all for everything, right? So diet, exercise,
sleep,
rest, reducing stress, and of course doing qigong, doing internal practices will be one of the most effective things to really boost that energy. So for me, it wasn't just I got into semen retention. It was part of it was an extension of my practice. I was getting into qigong, meditation, internal alchemy, and was like, okay, part of this is managing my sexual energy and not just wasting it. And so it was this whole holistic system I was doing it, and I had great results very quickly by doing that. Radiant Love Vibration says you can be free with one person. I think that's a great point. And like a relationship shouldn't be a prison. And that's unfortunately one of the kind of stereotypes or the things people get into is like,
I think it's just like a cultural acceptance that people settle for someone that's like, that they feel like meh about.
Yeah. And we have the kind of stereotype the man's like, well, my wife said I can't, like, you should be, it's like, I believe you should still have your individuality and be in a relationship. It's, yeah, it shouldn't be a bond, a prison. I'm not sure if I completely understand this question.
King's Adventure says, I did it first.
Do you think it's possible to energetically connect through YouTube and carry on a relationship if both people are financially okay, spiritually okay, just trying to find each other?
Maybe see if there's a clarification.
There's more of that. Yeah, I don't. Using energy between each other in synergy, does it cause telecommunication? I don't quite understand this question. I'm not sure if you're talking about like a distance relationship or if you're connecting to other people through YouTube. I don't quite understand the question.
Yeah, feel free to.
Yeah, you feel free to
write it down.
Yeah, elaborate. Zeke the Geek says, beautiful guys. I feel like my girl and I have similar feelings about and around when we met and totally think we still have a chance if we can cultivate our own practices and have one together. Any energy exercises that worked well for you two connecting in the beginning? Well,
just sex in general. Was great.
Of course, breathing with each other, just like really bringing intention into it, like really creating a space for intimacy and connection. I would say, rather than it just being like a quick thing you do and then it's over.
And anything fun, like even if it's outside of the bedroom, just literally like having fun together.
Yeah.
Doing fun activities, doing things you both enjoy.
Being fun, being silly.
Yeah.
Stephen Watts says, can you do reverse Kegels while walking? Also, I sometimes get headaches after doing reverse Kegels. Should I be feeling pressure in my head when doing them or not? Please advise. You're probably doing them too hard, too much pressure if you're getting headaches from it. You can definitely do them a little bit while walking, but what I do, if I'm walking, I'll often just like breathe and like feel that area relaxing, just focus on relaxing as it, like every breath, every exhale, lets it relax more and more. But if you're getting headaches from it, you're probably pushing too hard. My current favorite way to do reverse Kegels is to go down into a deep squat and just breathe into the belly, and that naturally inflates the pelvic floor area. Jesse says, what do you think about fasting? What do you think about fasting?
I like food. So for me, I would do short fast.
I don't think you would do very well fasting.
No, and also I get very like...
You get pretty hangry. Like
I'm not very pleasant to be around when I'm hungry. And so we've actually talked about that before. If we ever did fasting, we would have to be separate. We'd have to be individual. Yeah, we don't... That's literally pretty much the only time we ever fight or have dumb little arguments or anything is if either or both of us are hungry. And so we really try to never be hungry. But yeah, fasting intentionally, maybe by myself. I know there are benefits to it.
Yeah, I
like food.
I would say overall it depends. It's not going to be for everyone. Like there's often like these trending things like everyone should fast, it'll fix everything, right? It's usually not that simple. It can be good for specific things. Like if you really need to detox your body, if you're like really overweight, you've got certain issues, yeah, fasting can be phenomenal. But if you're like, I know people who are super into fasting, but they're already like, they're underweight. They're like skin and bones. And they're definitely malnourished, right? So don't be too obsessive about it. But, if it's truly balancing your body, that's great. But, be careful.
Yeah, I think with all diets, it's just really being aware of where's my body actually at versus like where's my mind telling me my body's at. Because I think a lot of people aren't in like the worst health. Like, they could probably eat more vegetables or have less stress and get more sleep. But because they're just so bombarded with like, you need to fast, you need to do keto, you need to do this diet, they're like, oh, maybe I need to be doing that and that'll make me healthier, when like that puts more stress on their body to keep on going than how they were eating before. And so
and that kind of comes down to like doing things from your head, because you're like, oh, well, I read this, therefore it must be, but it's like, maybe it's actually not good for your body. We see this a lot in diets, right? People doing diets that actually aren't supporting their body, but they think they are because they're stuck in their head. So learning to get sensitive to your body and what it actually supports it is very, very beneficial. I will say that me personally, doing the energy work that I do, I need a lot of calories to ground the energy, like to feed my Dantian and all kinds of stuff. So it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go very long without eating, you get kind of like spacey and
I do
ungrounded.
But there's again, there's benefits to it. It's all, all in balance. Sean says, what do you guys use for shampoo, etc.? Also, should we avoid deodorant sprays? We use all natural or organic, like, you recognize what the ingredients are. There's not a bunch of weird,
you can read them,
science lab chemicals. So yeah, anything you put on your skin, it's going in your blood. You're basically eating it. So be mindful of that. There's a lot of, the most like toxic chemicals are in the like beauty section of stores. Be aware of that. As far as deodorant, it depends. Again, it depends what it's made out of. Don't use aluminum. There's some other things that are sketchy. I use natural deodorants.
Yeah, I'm blanking on what it is. There's something that's in a lot of the spray ones. I don't think it's in all of them, but something that allows it to be that consistency that clogs your pores, which the armpits need to sweat.
Yeah, don't use antiperspirants.
Yeah, it's a way to detox. But yeah, so what I recommend is basically just Google every ingredient that's in whatever you want to use. So for your shampoo and your deodorant, whatever one you're using, if you don't know an ingredient, Google it. That's the best way to just start learning this stuff and understanding like, okay, this is what Google says this ingredient does. Am I okay with that in my body? Am I not okay with that in my body? And just slowly make shifts from there. It doesn't have to be like oh my gosh, there's scary chemicals and everything.
Although even Googling things is quick, like how much internet censorship has increased. It's insane. Yeah. Like even like the natural health stuff is insanely censored now. It's crazy.
It's true.
But yeah, do your research. If it's a crazy chemical, it probably shouldn't go in your body.
Yeah. Usually individual ingredients will still show up. But yes.
Okay. Toza White says, I don't have a lot of individual self-practice and she doesn't either. How do we start sex like step by step? We're open to energies exchange and I kind of have premature ejaculation. So again, you want to start having a strong practice, right? If your goal is to last longer during sex, have more control, then take my free ejaculation control course, practice those exercises every day, work with the microcosmic orbit, do Qigong, get more in your body, learn to relax your mind, open things up. Again, I have many videos. Check out my premature ejaculation playlist on YouTube and kind of go through that. But you really want to start practicing and gaining this mind-body connection. Super chat options. I don't know if I've ever had super chat on here.
Yeah, that also reminded me, I think on Instagram, they recently changed something, but I don't see anything on there. So always updating things.
Okay, and so the next question is, I don't have the privacy to self-pleasure enough in order to reprogram myself. Any tips? Well, then you can practice deep breathing. You can practice relaxing your mind, meditation, running the microcosmic orbit, and all these things can kind of carry over into your sexual experience.
And you can, basically what you just said, but you can practice the energetics of it without actually stimulating yourself.
Yeah.
Like it can be the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Alhaj says, every day I'm fighting with my girlfriend. We don't know what will happen. Fighting with your girlfriend every day, you've got conflict. Communication.
Just learning how to communicate better, and maybe it sounds like if you're fighting every day and you don't know why, maybe taking some time apart so that you can get more clear on, oh, this is actually my energy. This is her energy. Mm-hmm. This is what we're both feeling. And then coming back together. And that's something you're really good at, is just grounding like whatever I'm feeling and boiling it back down to like, oh, this is what's actually going on.
Learn to, not project things onto each other. And like, if you're irritated that day, if something's happened, you're struggling with something, don't take it out on your partner. And likewise, recognize when they're doing that and help them kind of get back into their heart, right?
Yeah, instead of like when you can feel the tension bubbling up, like take a deep breath and try and keep your nervous system calm instead of just immediately reacting, and taking a second to be like, okay, let me see how we could work together through this, because as a couple, you're always a team anyways, and it's easy to get to a point where you feel like you did, he did, she did, but it's not you against each other, it's both of you together. A funny practice that I've heard of is that when couples start fighting, I think I heard this from a therapist or somebody, that when couples start fighting, they switch clothes or switch hats or something so that they remember, like, we're the same.
Mhm.
We're on the same team.
Wear each other's clothes.
Yeah. That'll fix all your problems. Just switch clothes.
Next time I'll just put on your bra.
Put on some lingerie.
One Birth Dragon says, do you have a post where both partners can manifest together during sex? I'm sure I've made one about this, but basically, when you've generated the energy, you're at like a high point of sexual excitement. You've been making love for some time. You can just stop and just both breathe together, just kind of circulate the energy through your bodies and just like focus on, the thing you both want to manifest together. You both feel that. Just put your energy into that. Really simple as that.
Yeah. And there's lots of different ways to be more creative with that. You can journal about it beforehand or afterwards. You can see the intention that you want to manifest going out and like actually happening in the world, or just see it like a big white explosion.
Stephen Watts says, just to confirm, I shouldn't be too paranoid or worried about having sex, just thinking about soul ties and the stress of permanently polluting or corrupting my energy field and aura. Don't be too paranoid, right? Just be, selective of who you choose to exchange your energy with. And if it's someone who you feel connected to emotionally, physically, spiritually, then it's fine. You live on planet Earth. It's not the cleanest place. You're constantly being bombarded with energy from other people, right now on the planet. Like we're all swimming in the mud. So it is what it is, right? Just, have boundaries, be intentional about who you connect with, and, don't be paranoid about it. Get out of your head.
And also remember that everybody can take a shower. So like, I am guessing, unless there's like some really crazy explosion of something that happens that like really impacts someone long term, for the most part, it's probably going to be like a long term. My words aren't working. To me, I would say it's probably easier to clear things when it's just like a shorter term thing. Like if you're worried about having sex or any of these things, like I imagine unless you're with someone for a long time and these traumatic or whatever uncomfortable experiences are happening over and over and over, like you're not going to have to worry that much about being able to clear it. Like you're going to be able to clear it unless something totally crazy happens. And even then, you'll still be able to clear it. Nothing's really permanent here on Earth.
Michael says, any must-haves or tips for starting a YouTube channel, either in the structure of the video, thumbnail, art, or equipment? I mean, in the beginning, it's just like, just get going with it, right? Because it's like your first videos, probably there's not going to be a whole lot of people watching them. So it's just like, start creating content. Don't worry so much about that stuff. Like, if you go back and look at my early videos, they're pretty rough. I was just, sitting in my room talking. I mean, I still am sitting in my room talking about stuff, but I'll say the production quality's increased a little bit since then, but it really doesn't, all those things over time you'll want to improve. But in the beginning, it's really just like, what are you sharing? That's the most important thing, is like you start doing it. You just start putting it out there and getting consistent with it, getting the routine with it. And then you'll start refining things over time. But don't feel like everything has to be perfect before you start, I would say.
Yeah.
Just go for it when you're inspired.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And on the part about the structure of the video, thumbnail, I would say look at what you actually enjoy on YouTube and just take notes from those people. So if you like his videos, just look at, okay, I liked how he did this, then this, then this. Make a note of that for yourself. If there's other people that you watch and you're like, ooh, that thumbnail, pay attention when you're clicking on things, especially on YouTube, and just go back and notice like, oh, I wasn't planning on watching this video, but the thumbnail was so good it made me click. And then just look at the thumbnail and be like, what was it? What did they do?
Yeah.
And just kind of reverse engineer and like dissect it. So that can be the way to figure out what your thing is. Because also every person's going to be individual. So like what works for him probably won't work for you.
Definitely. But as far as like searchability and what makes people watch the video, you know, the title of the video and the thumbnail are the biggest things for sure.
Minimal words on the thumbnail.
Forbidden Audiobook says, can you recover fully from excessive ejaculation if you stop and eat healthy and practice Qigong and energy cultivation? Overall, it depends. Like if you're like 80 years old, you're at like death's door because you've been jerking off every day for your whole life, then, you know, but for most men, it's not too late. You can recover energy and get your health back, your energy back, basically. So yeah, you know, eat well, practice Qigong, cultivate. You'll be all right. It may take a few years to really get your energy fully back to where it was before, but you know, you'll constantly be on the upward slope. Gabrielle says, do you guys have any advice regarding post non-ejaculatory sex practices to circulate energy together and cool down? This makes sense. Yeah, totally. And basically is what
lots of different things.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things, but overall, just like not disconnecting right away. It's just like laying together and just breathing with each other, looking into each other's eyes, just feeling each other. You're still physically connected, but no longer in like active engaged sex, and just breathe together. Let your energy move together. And I find that very calming personally. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just cuddle. You can eye gaze. You can talk. Just
kind of bask in that afterglow and maintain that connection as long as you can, and just relax. OB, the truth. Your take on soy. Soy is one of the most genetically modified plants on the planet. It's up there with corn and wheat. The soy we have now is not the soy that used to be, you know, consumed by humans. That alone causes some real concerns. There's also, it's loaded with phytoestrogens. You know, there's a potentially strong correlation between that and sudden, well, there's a lot of factors, but men's testosterone levels being much lower. There's a lot of studies showing that babies who are raised on like these soy-based formulas, way more unhealthy, way more health issues, really weak immune system compared to babies who eat who have breast milk, right? Personally, my body doesn't like soy. The most, you know, we were in Bali. I was vegan at the time. It was my vegan phase, and I was eating a lot of tofu and soy stuff because it's what they had there. It was delicious, but I've never experienced that low of like testosterone level. Like I completely lost my sex drive. I was like, this is not good. And I stopped eating soy and, you know, added some other things in my diet and I felt better. So I would be careful. What I recommend doing is go, you know, someone was kind of talking about this recently. I would say go a month without eating soy. Notice what changes. And then you could add it back in and notice what changes, especially paying attention to your libido, your sex drive, your overall vitality and testosterone level, because that is what it's going to very likely have an effect on.
And if you do that with anything like a test, whether it's soy, dairy, gluten, whatever, just be sure to do it at least for 30 days because your body needs enough time to actually get it out of your system. And sometimes it takes longer than that. So just don't do it for a week and be like, well, I don't feel any different. Like it's not going to be that fast.
That's this kind of thing with diet is like, you can find studies proving anything, any possible viewpoint there is. You can find a scientific study proving it, right? And so people say, well, look, here's the science. The only thing you can do to be certain is to try it for yourself. Eliminate this from your diet, bring it back in, notice how your body feels. This is how you actually learn to get in touch with your body.
Right. And especially your individual body, because just like we were saying earlier, you know, working with a professional, they'll have a much better view of like, okay, this is probably going to work for you. This probably won't work for you. But if you're just taking advice from people on the internet and seeing like, ooh, I like that person's body, I want to get their body, you doing exactly what they're doing because it works great for them doesn't make it mean it's going to work great for you. Something that's good for someone could be detrimental to someone else and vice versa. So just experimenting on yourself is a good way to figure that out. I like to see it as like your body is the smartest computer in existence on the entire planet. And food is just figuring out the best way to fuel it, the best source of power for the body. Colostrum oil.
Aaron M says, do you know of any practices that help you boost your motivation a lot? I mean, for me, it was, anything that like charges you up, obviously increases balances your health, your mind, your body. But I would say we could kind of attribute motivation, like the drive to do things, as a yang characteristic. It's more masculine tendency. And the seat of yang is in yin. If you want more expansion, more like, then you need a little more yin, which means you need to nourish your, maybe more rest, more qigong, certain qigong practices, more meditation, more stillness, right? But overall, yeah, I mean, just, I think physical exercise in general, getting your blood moving, getting your energy moving, it makes you feel much more motivated and alive and just like driven.
And depending on what this is for, motivation, I mean, with everything, motivation always wavers. Motivation is not constant, but discipline is. And so whatever it is that this question is about, that you're wanting to have more motivation for, just maybe looking at where you're avoiding being disciplined with it, if you're inconsistent daily or if you're inconsistent in whatever way about it.
Delib says, how often do you have nocturnal emissions? I had one last night after 40 days. It's pretty rare for it to happen to me now, but what I found was that there was, when I was trying to go for long-term semen retention, almost like clockwork, about at the 6-week mark, I would have a wet dream. And this is when I came to the conclusion that the body, and it seems to be the same for about 95% of men or more. And there's a lot of them who don't want to admit that they're, they say like, well, I've been retaining my semen for 3 years, even though I have nocturnal emissions every 2 weeks, so it's like this ego trip, right? Basically, your body's going to release, the sperm doesn't live forever. It dies, the body reabsorbs it, or it releases it through urine or through a nocturnal emission. So 40 days, don't worry about it. It's, again, when it happens consistently at a certain time period, it's the body saying this, we need to release this old fluid to make some new sperm. And that may be your cycle. Don't worry about it. 40 days is plenty.
Mm-hmm. And it can change with the seasons and everything too.
Real Calvin says, how old are you two? I'm 33. I just turned 33.
I'm 86.
Looking good.
29.
Last year, the 20s.
Yep.
30s are great. 30s are way better than 20s.
Can't wait.
Zeke the Geek says, I love Lauren and you, of course. That was a great interview. Yeah, I interviewed one of my teachers, one of my greatest teachers as far as sexual kung fu, Lauren Johnson. The interviews on my YouTube channel, one of the past videos I did. He's a great guy. Joshua Covington says, what are your thoughts on social media and how do you think it has affected people, good or bad? Well,
I would just say read the book Digital Minimalism, and those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. I would say it's obviously, it has its upsides, but it's easier for it to have its downsides. The average person who just kind of scrolls through social media mindlessly gets hypnotized by it, and it gets these weird issues about comparing yourself to others and things like that. The only good side I see to social media at this point in my life is that it allows me to share this information, and I use it very consciously. Like I create content, I share it. I don't really browse through Instagram or Facebook, things like that. So it can definitely be a virtual reality for people that they get stuck in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And similar, I would say it's great. And it's just evolved to a totally different point than what we were sold, which that book, Digital Minimalism, talks about. Just that we were, told when Facebook and MySpace and all these things first came out that it'll help us connect with people and stay in touch with people. And, of course, in some ways it has done that. And in a lot of ways, it's actually put up a lot of not barriers, but put up a lot of division between people and had people, point fingers and start canceling people and just stuff that's not actually supportive, and made us aware of all the things going on all around the world, making us way more stressed than we would be if we didn't know what was going on and we only knew what was happening in our local community.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today.
Yeah. Of course, it can be helpful, but it can also be very, very, very unhelpful. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who have really cool explanations of that online.
Thoughts on marriage? If it supports you, if you vibe with marriage, then go for it. It's just
it's a personal choice.
It's personal choice. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. Don't feel pressured if anybody's trying to say that you need to get married or that you shouldn't get married.
To please your family.
Yeah.
Or
to rebel. Like, I think just really take time, both people individually and as a couple, to just consider what you want for yourself and what you want for each other, like as a team, and make your decision from there.
Austin James has been able to consciously move energy from my root directly into the pineal gland. I've done this breathwork practice many times. The only difference is I've retained for so long now. Awesome. Derek. Hey, Derek Trevino says, you've talked many times about different foods and herbs for us men. Mariah, are there standout herbs or foods for women, for females in specific? Asking for my girlfriend, or is it all the same?
I really like the desert cistanche and is it lingonberry?
Longanberry.
Longanberry. Those ones are really good.
We get those from Dragon Herbs. Longan is really good for women, high in iron, good for supporting when they're on their cycle.
Mm-hmm. And I would say other like standards. It says standout, not standard, but pretty much everyone needs vitamin D. There's a really good liquid one just on Amazon that is like really high absorbency. So yeah, vitamin D. And then I would say whatever kind of range of mushrooms that you can get. So I have a mix that has, I think, like 5 or 6 different kinds of mushrooms in them. And then I also take a reishi tincture. Sometimes we take cordyceps. So I find those are really helpful too. But yeah, I think it's nutrition, no matter what, is individual, even like whether it's a guy or a girl, just it's extremely individual. So it's just kind of figuring out what's going to work for that person.
Some other herbs, and it obviously depends, just like for anyone taking herbs, depends like what you're trying to accomplish with it, like what you're deficient in, what you're excess in. But a really good herb for women is dong quai. It's a Chinese herb, supports blood flow in the abdominal area. Again, good for women's hormones in general, but also for the menstrual cycle.
Yeah, I'm sure there's others, but I'm not looking at my cabinet right now, so it's not on the top of my mind.
And Derek says, are reverse Kegels beneficial for women too, or should they just stick to regular Kegels?
Yeah, they're beneficial, and just as important is relaxing. I know you talk about that a lot. But yeah, you don't want to constantly be
squeezing.
Yeah, creating tension or pushing out. Like, it's just as important to have time where it's just relaxed and you're just breathing into the pelvic floor. So yeah, I think both can be helpful. And I would say there's a lot of really incredible, like specific pelvic floor health people online that you could check out to get like really specific details about all of that stuff. The Kegels.
Austin James says, feels like I'm just in uncharted territory with this discipline. It's like energy centers in my body are opening up and I'm aware of it happening. So what happens? We do practice, things start opening up, things start activating. You step back into your real nature. Thank you, Zeke the Geek. Glad you're enjoying it. Kevin Gonzalez says, do y'all got pets? We've got 2 rabbits, Chester and Luna. We adopted them last year from a bunny rescue shelter. We wanted a pet that was super quiet and low maintenance and, wouldn't bother me when I'm doing practice or bark at night or anything like that. So we got 2 rabbits. They're hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
They're helpless little creatures.
Yep. Yep. Both little lion head dwarf mixes. So they're tiny, but they're cute.
Sushant says, hello, man. It's morning in India, and I just did my workout. So my question is, should I take a cold shower just after workout or take a little time to cool down? Whenever you want. It doesn't really matter. I like to take cold showers after workouts. Zeke the Geek says, I think the whole 5,000 to 7,000 ejaculations thing that Montauk Chia says is definitely confusing. I told my 44-year-old brother that he calculated at least 10,000. So the whole number is... Yeah, I've heard this too, this idea that men have like a certain amount of ejaculations. I think this is, I could be wrong, but I think this is more of like a kind of an Ayurvedic, an Indian thing. this came from. So it's like men have 5,000 to 7,000 ejaculations. Once they do that, they're dead. I don't think that that's it. Yeah, I think it's a little different than that.
I see Jace.
Cosmic Origins. What's up, Jace? What's up, brother? Okay. Stephen Watts says, any good practices to get rid of fear? Good question. First of all, I would say probably facing fears, go out and like do things that you've been avoiding doing. But also it depends what the fear is coming from. Often like if it's just like you feel a lot of anxiety, you have just like a lot of fear, this can kind of be like related to the kidneys, the kidney energy in the body, working with the kidneys, strengthening your kidneys. There's, Qigong exercises you can do for this and stuff. But in general, facing fears, getting out of your comfort zone and like doing things that are uncomfortable, it will make you a much stronger person.
Mm-hmm. And just for anybody else who maybe enjoys journaling, something I could recommend is just really getting out of your head and writing down like whatever this fear is, what is the ultimate true, like what is absolutely true for every single person on the planet, no matter what. And if that fear doesn't align with that, a lot of times when you're journaling, that will come out and you'll see how totally irrational the fear is. And it gives you enough separation to be able to see like, okay, this isn't something that I need to fear as much as I am, unless obviously it is something that you need to fear. Then maybe it's just a good thing that it's there.
Okay, Cosmic Origins asking, I just heard an Ayurvedic practitioner say semen gets drawn from the bone marrow after a long process from food to blood to bone marrow. Is there truth to this? Yes, this is kind of, in Ayurveda, the principle is that the food turns to, I forget the order. It's like food turns to blood, turns to bone marrow, turns to bile. I'm out of order here, but basically, I think there's some truth to this in that the bone marrow produces the blood. It also produces hormones and things like that. That's why in Taoist energy cultivation, there's a lot of practices around the bone marrow, washing the bone marrow. This is a really great practice to do as you get older, because people, when people age, their bones fill up with fat and they get brittle and they break easily, right? So if you do these practices, there's ones where you like hit your bones with these steel rods to create vibrations. You do bone breathing, breathe the energy into the bones. It really supports your hormonal and your gene, really, which is your core vitality. So definitely relation. So that's why when you ejaculate too much, it starts, the body starts pulling resources from the organs, maybe from the bone marrow, from the brain, wherever. So yeah. And the bone marrow, again, is water element. It's related to the kidney system in Chinese medicine. All the fluids of the body are. So that really relates to our sexual vitality as well.
I wonder if sexual people have nocturnal emissions. Zeke, the geek. I would say probably, just because they're sexual doesn't make them like immune to having nocturnal emissions. It's just
it's
the body saying, hey, I need to get rid of this, and this is the easiest way.
Yeah, there's many causes to it, right? So, one of the most common causes of the nocturnal emissions is just unresolved sexual desire. You're not really bringing it to any completion because you're suppressing your sexual energy, and you go to sleep and the body says, hey, this asshole's asleep, we're gonna have an orgasm, just let her rip, but more, it can also just be that the sperm's died and the body's like, okay, clear this old stuff out, we're gonna make new sperm. Zeke the Geek, I think, is asking if the rabbits are smelly at all. Just if you don't,
clean after them, just like any pet.
Alex Schatz says, any tips on reverse Kegel exercise? Well, I gave a good one earlier, is get into a deep squat position, like what's the Malasana yoga position, or holding a deep squat, and you just breathe into your belly, and that naturally will stretch the pelvic floor out and cause this reverse Kegel. So that's a really great way to do reverse Kegels. Lemaine Hargrove says, what exercises do you request for strengthening kidneys? Grounding Qigong exercises. I have a Qigong video on my YouTube. It's called Deep Earth Pulsing Qigong. That one is a good kidney building form. I've got a whole set in my Multi-Orgasmic Man course that's for strengthening kidney energy. You can just look up kidney strengthening Qigong and rest, reduce stress. Like a kidney yin herbal formula from Chinese medicine will be great as well. William Michael says, on a very long semen retention streak is the top exercise I need to learn to keep it moving. It's pooling and causing urges. The microcosmic orbit. Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to do microcosmic orbit. I recommend doing Qigong in general. Stillness meditation practice as well to kind of still the gene. If you, we're losing our Instagram feed. Yeah. I'll just jump here. They save automatically, right?
Hit cancel. Just hit the bottom, yeah. I don't know if you can change it to here. I'll do it. You keep answering questions.
1 second, guys. We're at the
1 hour mark.
My YouTube.
It's like slow.
Got all skippy.
Yeah.
YouTube video might be a little weird, guys.
What's the date? The 3rd?
But yes, William Michael, microcosmic orbit every day. Testicle breathing, especially. Do some Jan Zhuang, which is a great grounding practice, and keep yourself busy, productive, creative outlets. Alex Shad says, and how would I know I need them? I think you're talking about reverse Kegels. If you have a tight pelvic floor, which most men do, if when your penis is being stimulated, if you have this involuntary contraction in your pelvic floor, then you have a lot of, you have hypertension response down there. So for most men, it's good to stretch out and balance, relax the pelvic floor muscles. A lot of people have, like you get like knots in your shoulders, your back, whatever. A lot of people basically have that in their pelvic floor. And so doing reverse Kegels and different stretching practices helps loosen that out.
This chair is so squeaky.
Squeaky chair. Derek Trevina says, always wanted to ask this on the Multi-Orgasmic Man course calls, but I never seem to be able to attend those. Can you briefly explain how the 6 healing sounds have their effect on the body and the organs? So basically, this is a clearing practice, right? In Chinese medicine, the organs are, there's the physical organs, but they also have an energetic component to them, which extends into the meridian system. The meridian system is it's almost like a communication pathway for that organ spirit, as they're known, right? From the external world in your body. This is interface happening. You're absorbing, working with the elements through your body, through your meridian system, right? So and what happens is they may develop blockages, or like a common pattern, for example, is people have a lot of heat in their liver, their heart, pericardium, triple warmer system, and that causes, headaches, racing thoughts. And so with the healing sounds, just to practice, much as an acupuncturist goes in to balance out the meridian system by, tonifying them, removing excesses, and enhancing deficiencies, the healing sounds practice just basically focuses on purging heat, purging excessive, purging toxicity, which is often very much directly related to emotions, right? That's the main thing we're working with. The 6 healing sounds is negative emotions, which becomes an expression of that blocked organ energy. So you're basically using sound, intention, and maybe a bit of like visualization to really enhance that process. Plus the movements themselves, like the lung sound, you stretch the lung and large intestine meridian, which goes right up the first finger and thumb, the arm. So hopefully that answers the question. It's a fantastic practice.
Oh, I was also going to say, just if there's anybody else who's in the course on here, and you're not able to make the calls anytime, you can also just ask them in the Kajabi community or the Facebook group. And you could make a video response there too.
Yeah, it's good to, you can always ask questions in the group too. Mm-hmm. Joshua Covington says, what are good night practices before bed? And can TV have an effect before bed? So TV definitely has an effect. Blue light, electronic screens, they trigger your body to release cortisol, because the body's saying, oh, this light, the sun's still up, it's daytime, I need to be active. So it suppresses your melatonin levels. So I recommend avoiding screens at least a couple hours before bed, or at least wear blue light glasses to block that blue light. So yeah, I don't recommend being on electronic devices close to bedtime. I can't sleep if I'm, in front of a screen within an hour or more before going to bed. But practice to do, the 6 healing sounds practice I mentioned is a fantastic one to do before sleep. You can look this practice up and find it. I teach it, my version of it in my course. Also, just like, I like stretching. I do like some yoga type practices before bed that really kind of calms my system down. Just kind of laying on the ground, stretching out, breathing, deep, slow breathing. Alternate nostril breathing is a great practice to kind of balance your system out, get in parasympathetic state.
Foam rolling,
stretching. In when it's not the dead of winter, I like to do ice baths in the evening as well. That really calms my system down. But yeah, just anything that helps you transition, like calm down. You don't want to do stimulating things before sleep, basically. Do you have any nighttime practices you like to do?
I think you said them all.
Yeah.
I might do, different breathing practices or kind of meditations or things like that to just intentionally shift to a different state. Also, I guess I would say just like the typical bedtime ritual for me of just like washing my face and brushing my teeth, like that I've noticed over the last few months. I've been doing that for years and years, but I've just noticed now that once I do that, my body just immediately, I'm like, I am exhausted, like even if I wasn't before. So once you get into that consistent habit, because you've been like stretching for years and years, and just once you get into that consistent habit, your body will more easily recognize too, like, oh, this is the order, this is the pattern, this is how we do things. Once we do this, then we get sleepy and we get to go to bed.
This means bedtime. Also, like some things I'll do when I'm laying in bed, like if my mind's active, just focusing the mind in the belly. Another really great practice I like is like breathing through the soles of the feet into the belly. Like imagine there's like a tube connecting your soles of your feet to your belly. You just breathe like you're breathing through the legs into the belly, exhale back through them, like you're inhaling and exhaling from your feet. It'll really ground your energy in your body and help you sleep.
I also like feeling like I'm in a shower or out in like a heavy rain, and like that's just like washing everything and just feeling that sensation.
Derek Tripino says, do you think too much intense exercise depletes kidney energy? I've been doing sprints lately. I love it, but I've read that too much intense exercise after a while can mess up libido a bit. Yes, this can definitely be true. That's why you really need to balance your working out with rest, right? Have rest days. Don't expend yourself too much, right? Don't overtrain, basically.
Yeah. I would say, again, just pay attention to how you're personally feeling. Like if you're feeling fine after you do sprints, but then you go and read online that it can mess you up. Just notice the difference between how you're actually feeling and what the internet says how you should feel. And yeah, just pay attention to that. Because even if the internet says this is the worst thing ever, you should never do sprints, if it feels good to you, then
listen to your body.
That's what your body needs.
If you feel like completely wrecked the next day or two, then it's probably too much. If you feel good, if your libido is good, then you're fine. Mm-hmm. Zeke the Geek says, I wonder if prostate massage is like a major reverse Kegel exercise. Well, it really helps you to release tension in this area. Again, this pelvic floor tension. When I started using a prostate massager, I noticed, because it gives me direct feedback on how much tension's in that area. You have something up your butt. It's like, oh yeah, it's really tight in that area. And that kind of, there's also like, I think they're called Therawands that pelvic floor therapists will use. It's like a phallic stick that goes up your butt, but it like use it to like trigger point muscle in there. So it's like that kind of thing where you're basically really this direct stimulation of these points helps to release the pelvic floor muscles. In fact, this is one thing I really recommend to guys. It helps to really loosen up that area. I know guys are homophobic about this because we've been taught to shame this area of their body, but there's nothing wrong with it, and it can really help you to bring health and awareness and relaxation in this area of the body. It's been a game changer for me personally.
I've never heard you explain it like that. And in case anybody's wondering for their partner, or if there is any women that are on, that's basically the same thing that we're doing using a wand. So in the women's course, I recommend getting some kind of a crystal wand or whatever kind of wand that you want. It's basically the same thing, just finding different, like trigger points, just like a massage, and just massaging them out and allowing the things that come with that, emotions or intensities, to happen. But yeah, learning to release and relax.
Interpret says, does semen retention increase memory? I kind of answered this before. Basically, it could definitely increase brain function because you're not, expending all this energy that your body has to take resources from the rest of the body, which inhibits their function. So it can definitely help memory. Any plans for Valentine's Day? We've got other plans later this month. We're not always like into the cultural, what would you call it?
Just the calendar holidays.
Yeah.
We just kind of do things whenever we sporadically want to. And so, yeah, we have it planned for like the week after Valentine's.
Indepreed says, I do not know why my semen is coming out whenever I pee. Is this dangerous? This is pretty common. Usually it's actually like, I mean, there could be many causes of this. Obviously, this isn't any medical advice or anything like that, but it can be prostate fluid. If you have been like really aroused a lot, or like, edging, non-ejaculatory sex, non-ejaculatory stimulation, the prostate kind of swells up with fluid, and some of that can come out when you urinate, and or it's just like also when you've been retaining for a while, things kind of start getting backed up, and again, the prostate starts to fill up with fluid, and you'll urinate that out. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Chosen One says, any types you guys have, any tips you have to increase cognitive performance from a spiritual or any perspective? I'm studying for my MCAT right now, and aside from meditation and semen retention, I'm looking for more tools. Thanks. Well, cognitive performance, I think one of the big things is not scattering your attention. The worst thing you can do to be focused and have strong cognitive performance is to be on a computer, all these different things, checking my email, checking my social media, doing this and this. Multitasking, right? Destroys attention span. There's a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. It was a game changer for me, this book.
The same guy who wrote Digital Minimalism.
Yeah. And as far as like, spiritual perspective, I mean, cognitive performance is a pretty kind of physical body thing. It can relate to energy centers and things like that. But in general, I think the biggest inhibition of people's attention spans is electronic devices, poor diet, lack of exercise.
That's what I would say. If you really want to like test it out, I would say like swap out your phone for a slide phone or like a non-smartphone for a while and see how much that changes things. Or just delete everything off of your phone so that all you can do is like the bare minimum of what you need to do.
Fenrir Ramirez says, I have a question. Edging usually implies loss of semen due to malpractice of retention. I don't think I quite understand that question. Edging can be a variety of things. I made a video about edging recently and what could be the benefits of it. But if you're just like right on the edge of ejaculation, building up all this tension in your pelvic floor, it can basically not be beneficial. I don't quite understand the question though. Gabriel says, I apologize if my previous question was too personal. I don't think we saw it. I don't think we saw it. Might have gotten, sometimes YouTube just like doesn't post questions. I'm not sure why. So we didn't see it. Kings of Venture says, do you guys feel you have a psychic connection? Definitely. It's what happens when you are deeply connected with someone. I think we're both pretty intuitive as it is anyway, but I think we can feel what each other are feeling and going through without talking.
And there's been a lot of different times where I've especially noticed it around your family where we'll both say the exact same thing at the exact same time in the exact same way. And it's like not something we've said before or anything.
Okay, Luciano Stella says, how can we cultivate? How can we do an inner ejaculation? I've actually just made a video on this that I'll be posting soon, but basically this idea of like ejaculating internally is misleading. Talking about internal orgasm, yeah, but it's not an ejaculation. If there's any movement of fluid, then it's a peak orgasm, and there's no physiological path in the body for it to go inwards, right? So it's mostly just going into your bladder and you're losing it. So what you want to, what you're looking for, I think, is just internal orgasm, non-ejaculatory orgasm for men. And I've talked a lot about this. It's about transitioning from peak orgasm experience, the buildup of tension to the pelvic floor that results in ejaculatory orgasm, transitioning into a more energetic experience of orgasm, which is one of the main things I'm teaching. All right, we're gonna do just a few more questions. We're gonna wrap this up here in a little bit. Arm wrestling dank memes, nice name, says, what do you think? Do you think the majority of girls would be okay with semen retention? How do you disclose this info so that they don't freak out? I mean, this would be an interesting thing to do, like a poll on, like people do this,
So that's a good idea.
Girls walk down the street. Would you be okay with your man practicing semen retention? I don't know, honestly. I think that it's safe to say, just for men and women, we all kind of have this expectation of sex and like what's normal, and we kind of expect that, right? So definitely for some women, it's going to be like, that's weird. Why would you not ejaculate? So there needs to be some context. So that's where, disclosing the info, as you said. I mean, just be honest with it. That I was pretty honest and straightforward. Said, hey, I don't ejaculate during sex all the time when Mariah and I were first getting intimate, and explain why. Say, because I practice this practice of having non-ejaculatory orgasm. I'm cultivating my energy. Here's the benefits of it. Just show them my YouTube channel. Be like, this guy will tell you all about it. But just don't feel weird about it, because it's like you were doing what you're doing, and be confident in it. If they don't like it, it's too bad. Harvey says, ideas for reducing a highly sensitive penis. This is usually due to a lot of tension in the pelvic floor. The nerves of the penis connect to the pelvic floor area, the prostate. So when there's a lot of tension in the pelvic floor, it feels like the penis is very, very sensitive and that you'll ejaculate easily. So doing reverse Kegels, deep stretches, look up, I have a video on YouTube called Pelvic Floor Rehab. Check that out. And go through my ejaculation control course.
I think you're going to like this one.
Supplements or practices to reduce oxidative stress or inflammation in the body. Well, antioxidants. One of the best ones I've been taking is camu berry. Camu berry is one of the super, super potent antioxidants.
Paying attention to what kind of water you're drinking.
The water you drink. Cold showers, cold ice baths are good for reducing inflammation as well. Reducing stress, checking your diet. Don't eat fried foods. Avoid sugar, alcohol, the usual things like that. Avoiding foods that are inflammatory for you, basically.
Want to do this one?
Okay, Zeke the Geek says, was it a little tough for you two in the beginning, relationship wise, deal breakers? I don't think so. It was pretty like,
I feel like it was just very easy.
Yeah, it was easy. It was just, there wasn't any expectation. There wasn't any big, whatever. It was playful and just natural and organic, it felt.
And on the deal breakers note, I would say, like, I was kind of looking for things and just kind of, not looking, but I was just kind of waiting for something to happen where I'd be like, oh, there we go, red flag, okay. And that never happened. We both just stayed open and communicated about everything and were honest with each other. And it was very, very, very easy.
Yeah.
And I think that was why we were able to stay together, is because it was just very seamless.
Okay, so Fenir Ramirez says, I usually edge before ejaculation. I don't ejaculate, but I practice retention. And almost every time I have fluid dropping out that I think is pre-seminal liquid. Well, yeah, when you're aroused, a man's going to secrete the pre-ejaculate fluid, which is clear. That's not semen. That's not ejaculating. So don't worry about that. Derek Trevino, if you read books from Stephen Chang, so curious to hear your thoughts on him. He was the first person that brought Taoist practice to me. Yeah, I've read, Tao Sexology, which is, it's great. I will say the actual practice is pretty limited. Like, he basically teaches $1 Million Point and then like have sex, then stop and like squeeze your PC muscle a few times. So not really like a lot of in-depth practice, but he's got some great information in that book overall for sure. Yeah, he was one of the first, teaching these sexual practices here in the West. Water, just water that doesn't, not tap water, clean water. Spring water is great. Distilled water as well. We use a Kangen machine, which is great, but you don't need to spend, ridiculous amounts of money for it. I think distilled water is one of the best if you're living if you can't access spring water or something like that, because it takes everything out.
Well, good.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. It was good to hang out with you guys. I don't think I have any announcements right now, but take care and have a great weekend.
I can think of one.
All right, what?
There'll be a surprise class coming at some point in the next month. Can't share all the details yet, but just keep an eye out. That'll be coming soon. It'll be like a one-off class. It'll be a paid class, so just something to get excited about.
Got some new trainings coming soon. All right. Take care, guys. See you soon.